What's up, everybody? Welcome back to part two. So, part one, if you haven't seen it, was a bit of a disaster. But what we did essentially was switch over from Gemini to ChatGPT. We had ChatGPT analyze our project, all the work we've done so far, and no problems there, right? It did a decent job at analyzing everything, and it asked me for a bunch of things it needed from us. So it wanted these things, which I have collected, and I will be providing all of this information to ChatGPT on this part two video. But where it messed up was then the follow-up um, task that we gave it, which is this part. Could we quickly implement a pause menu? And I expected it to, give us the steps as Gemini always did, but instead what happened was it just implemented the whole thing and just basically provided with the zip file that contained all the changes it made. And it basically did all the work for us. So, would have been great if it actually looked decent, but I actually went through the changes that it made. So here's the branch I had from Gemini ChatGPT Part 1 series. And if you look at the changes it made, it changed only one file, which is our UIManager file, and what it did was it implemented basically the entire pause menu system within this one file at runtime. So everything seems like is gonna happen at runtime. So it added all these extra code in here. If you want to quickly review it, it is up on GitHub. But yeah, everything has been done in this one file, and everything would have been happening. It's creating all these buttons and panels and everything and all this logic. Everything in here is happening at runtime. So that cannot be a good way to implement it anyway. So I am rejecting this branch altogether. This is not going to be merged into main. So, it's still up there, but we are going to start from a clean slate. I have removed I did not merge the part one stuff into our main branch, and yeah, so just discard all the changes here, and we are gonna do things the proper way. I think we'll make something like a panel similar to what we have in our for our game over screen. So I'll probably just duplicate that for our pause menu, and also definitely complain to ChatGPT that we did not care for the implementation it gave me. So anyway, I already have my prompt that we left in the last video. I didn't want you to do it for me, just guide me on how to do it myself. Also, just to add, reviewing the changes, it seems like you've added everything to be created at runtime that cannot be good, right? Should I go ahead and create the pause menu screen similar to the game over screen that we have, which is let's go to our scene one or level one. And by the way, if you see that the sandbox looks a little bit different, it's because I messed around with it, trying to collect all the information before the video so we don't waste a bunch of time um, collecting all the information that it requested. So, sandbox will look different from time to time. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, so see we have the UIManager and the game over panel in there. So I think we'll have a pause menu panel or something like that in here. Um, so yeah, we have inside our UI manager, um, basically just duplicate the, what is it called? Game over panel, and modify it similarly to the pause menu. to a pause menu. Um, Also, I am wondering if I should include everything um, that it asked for in this response as well. So let's just quickly go through the information it said it needed from us. Excuse me. All right, so a short clip of an enemy approaching a platform edge. So I have that here just to quickly show you. This is when I was messing around with our sandbox. Our enemy just falls off if there's an edge, but that's it. I forgot we have we have an edge there. We felt ourselves, but this is what I have for that request. Next thing I wanted was a clip of riding, jumping, and colliding with a moving platform. So this is what we have, just real quick. And that's pretty much it. And then one actual phone screenshot showing the controls and the game over screen. So we got a couple of screenshots here. This is the control. This is from my actual phone. This is the game over. All right, and then screenshot of Unity console after clearing it and playing from main menu through level 3. So this is the screenshot after I completed everything. So basically, the only thing we have in our nope, wrong screenshot. The only thing we have is game over triggered every time I died, but that's it. Console otherwise it is pretty clean. Known bugs list, so I have it typed out here. Known bugs list, there is not much. Yeah, so one thing I did right is if you stop the game while on top of a moving platform, the console shows this error, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Uh, let's go back to our sandbox. So I'm on top of this moving platform. Console is all clean. If I stop the game now, it triggers this error. So that's what I just mentioned there. And the other thing is not really a bug, but every time I change the outline color on one of the text objects, it propagates to all text objects across all scenes. Probably just need to duplicate the or make a copy of the font and fix it that way. Currently, all texts have a red outline. I'll show you exactly what I mean in a second. So if you've been watching this series, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, you go to the main menu scene. Okay, so see the outline we have here in the text, title text, Spectre. So if I change this outline from this color to any other color, say like green, it changes everywhere. It changes on the start button, it changes here, and it's going to change even on the other scenes as well. If I go in there, the score trackers also changed colors. So that's not good. That's not what we want. So we need to fix that. Main menu. Can I do a bunch of Control Z's? Probably not. Doesn't seem like it's working. But let's do it manually. Which color do I have selected? Maybe this one. Yep, looks about right. Anyway, that is a problem. So anyway, and then the last thing in this request was whether score and double jump power up should persist across level. So the answer to that is yes. once you collect the power up, I believe it makes sense for it to move on to the next level. And also the score, you don't want it to reset back to zero every time you die. Maybe you get like a bunch of set number of lives, 3 lives, 5 lives, whatever. You could probably collect additional lives, but we can implement all that logic down the line. So anyway, this is going to be sort of a big prompt here because I am complaining about the way it implemented the pause menu, and then we'll also be addressing all the things it asked for. So it's just things you requested earlier. Short clip, attached, clip, attached, um, attached, attached, and bugs list goes in here, known bugs list. So just cut, and paste. If I could click uh, here, so known bugs list. Alrighty, here. And then the last thing is whether score and double jump should persist across levels. And the answer to that is yes. And then let me patch everything in here. So that should be all. I read that ChatGPT can analyze videos now, so hopefully it works. And the model is set to high or advanced. Didn't go super high because it takes forever, but hopefully that should be everything. And let's send it and wait for it to analyze everything. Okay. So ChatGPT apparently misread implement as a to do or do it in the project. That was my mistake. From here on, I'll act as the programming buddy at your keyboard, explain the change, give you the code inspector steps, and review what you build. Unless you explicitly say edit it for me. Okay. And yes, for this project, duplicating the existing game over panel in the canvas and adapting it into a serialized pause panel is the cleaner approach. Just to zoom in so you guys can read, because I see a lot of you actually watch these videos on phone, which I mean, okay, you do you, but um, I guess the zoom makes sense for that. But anyway, runtime UI creation isn't inherently bad. Okay, so it's defending what it did, but it was the wrong architectural choice here because your UI is already authored visually in Unity and should remain editable in the inspector. I'm using the personal context instructions because this is a correction to our existing project workflow. Inspect the exact scripts and both clips without changing anything, then give you a clean manual implementation path and access the new evidence. So inspection completed there. Confirm the concern is in the actual script. Current version clones game over panel, searches children by hard-coded names, rewires the button events, and clones another button all in awake. So this is talking about the awake function here. Build pause UI. What is it talking about? Actual script. Oh, I think it's talking about the bug I just mentioned. Cool. Okay. I'm checking the clips now, especially. Okay, so this is all just it talking to itself, so that's fine. Let's just wait for it to figure things out. Yeah, so we got the actual response now after about 3 minutes. Way slower than Gemini, but I feel like the responses should be more polished, more reasoned. Hopefully, let's see. We'll find out. We're only on day 2 with this tool. Anyway, is runtime creation bad? Not inherently. Runtime UI generation is useful for dynamic inventories, dialog choices, procedurally generated lists, but it was the wrong choice here because this is a fixed screen. The current implementation is invisible outside play mode. Searches for, yeah, exactly. Searches for control using fragile names like retry button. All this bunch of stuff on why its implementation was not the best way to move forward. Yeah, no visual editing or testing creates unnecessary objects at runtime. Exactly. Not a serious performance problem. The objects are created only once, but it is unnecessarily messy. Exactly. This is not something I want to look at in my clean file, right? In my clean little script I had. I don't want all this unnecessary code for UI creation. All right, so step one, create the pause UI yourself. So let's just quickly follow these instructions here. So this is going to be create the pause UI yourself, and we will follow the runtime construction. We can ignore that, keep the pause logic, and wire the buttons. Cool, and then we'll see what it thought of the attachments we gave it. So let's perform the steps to create our pause menu here. All right, we can grab that. All right, so step one is create the pause UI yourself. Open UIManager prefab. And you know what? I'll delete this resources folder because there's nothing in there. So that makes no sense to keep it there. UIManager prefab. Let's see, console clear that out. All right, UIManager here. Don't edit a scene instance, otherwise you may create scene-specific overrides inside the prefab. Duplicate the game over panel, so Control D. Rename it pause panel. Pause panel. Keep it inactive by default. Change the game over to paused. So let's see, text should be paused. All right. Rename retry button to resume button. So this should be resume button. And change this label from retry to resume. The label should be inside. So there should be that resume label. And while we're at it, let's just have this panel visible for now as we're editing it. And then keep the duplicated menu button. All right, so yeah, keep it as is. Make the pause panel the final sibling so it renders above the HUD. Where would that be? It is the final sibling. Renders above the HUD, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, I think the pause panel should be the last. The final sibling, so it renders above the HUD. Okay. By HUD, I assume it means game over panel. Just answer me in one sentence, maybe. Let's see. Answer in one sentence. What do you mean by the HUD? Are you referring to the game over panel? What are you exactly talking about? Oh, okay, okay. So the HUD is the always visible interface like the score text, level text, double jump icon, and pause button, making. Ooh, that makes sense. Okay. All right, so it is the final sibling there, and all done there. Okay, so step 9 is duplicate one of the buttons and move the duplicate outside the panel directly under UI Manager. That should probably be the pause button up top, but anyway, we're gonna duplicate this one, maybe the menu button, right? And move this directly under UI Manager or under UI Manager, I think it means all the way out here. What is going on? Nope. Hit now. This is not working. Come on. How do I move it out? Here it doesn't work. Come on. Okay, I'll do it a different way. I'll do this, just a bunch of control Z's until it goes away. Went away, and I'll do create empty. Nope, not that. Wait, what am I doing? This is a prefab. I cannot. I thought this was the hierarchy. My bad there. That was a little embarrassing. And duplicate one of the buttons and move the duplicate outside the panel directly under UI Manager. Okay, so outside the pause panel. That's what it means. So directly under the UI Manager, we can put it there. Um, rename this pause button. Rename pause button and change the text to pause. All right, and let's see where we can move it. We can move it here, right around there. Recommended pause button, rect transform, anchors top right. So if you remember from the previous videos, we should do these rect transforms. So click on this thing here, press, I think it was Alt and Shift, right? Alt and Shift. So both holding at the same time, do the top right. And pivot should be 1, 1. It says pivot, but I don't understand pivot. I don't think we did. I don't think we did. I don't know what it means by pivot 1, 1. But anyway, I'll just do the position X will be maybe negative. What do we got for the level text? 80, so it should be negative 80. Negative 80. And what is that? Negative 20 on these texts. So this should also have a negative 20 on the Y. Or maybe even a little bit more. Maybe negative 30, because the text I kind of want to align. We could always modify it later. And then for the double jump icon, I have to move this more to the left. You know what? I'll make the pause button. Make the pause button more closer to the right. So instead of negative 80, I'll do negative 60 maybe, or even 40. Be closer to the corner so that we have some more room. And eventually this button is going to be just like two little straight lines resembling a pause button that you usually see, so that should not be a big problem. Even reduce the width a little bit to 200 maybe, and then move over our double jump icon to Should I do a little under maybe instead of going to the left? I think that makes more sense. Or would it be annoying to look at? I don't know. -60, -90, -120. How about that? I think it should be fine. All right, let's do a little bit there. Anyway, pivot. I didn't understand what I mean by pivot is this. Pivot 1 1. Um, when I do also set pivot, says if you hit shift, says pivot, right? So do we have a, oh, okay, there we go, pivot. It's already set to 1 1, so nothing to change there, but the position it recommended was way different than what we have. 160 and -20. Just test it out. Okay. Should do it on the button. Pause button. Okay, so I think the reason is it just wanted it to be away from the double jump icon, but you know what? We'll just move the double jump icon a little bit lower, and that should be fine. Pause button, -40, double jump icon. I'll also do -40. You know what? Let's be okay. Anyway, I'm satisfied with how it looks. So moving on to the next steps. Yeah, okay, yeah, it did account for the double jump icon there. That's why it suggested these values. Um, but hierarchies should resemble this, so let's just validate real quick. Where top is the UI manager followed by score text. So okay, then level text. Then comes double jump icon. So let me drag these two there. Then comes double jump icon. I'm just reordering things the way it wants. So pause button comes next. Game over panel comes next. Pause panel. Okay, pause button comes next. Right. And then game over panel. Here. Finally pause panel, and then we're gonna go ahead and disable it. And inside the pause panel, we have our pause text. I guess we never renamed these text boxes with Gemini, but might as well. Paused text, resume button, and finally the menu button. All right, so step 2, remove runtime construction. I think we can safely ignore this step because we never merged the changes into our main branch. And I'm currently on our part 2 branch, so this does not have any of the runtime construction it did. Okay, so remove all these, change the pause fields from the runtime only fields. So for step 2, remove runtime construction, I'll say, um, don't worry, or should I just say, awake, build, pause, set button, action, set button, label. Are these the only methods it added? Okay, awake there. Made a bunch of changes and update and show game over screen, toggle pause game, resume game. You know what? I have to say, you know what? For step 2, redo the instructions because I never merged your runtime code updates to my projects. So removing your code doesn't really make sense. Right, hopefully it doesn't take too long. Okay, so follow these steps instead. Step two, add pause logic to the UI manager. So go to our script here, UI manager, pause logic to original. So, okay, I'll just follow these instructions. If you guys want to pause and look at these code, feel free to do so. Just quickly give you guys some time. All right, and now I'll do it myself. All right, so let's see. Add this import. So input system is what we need at the top. Okay, and add these fields to have our existing UI references. So I'll add those here. Pause panel and pause button. UI panels, those should probably be under our UI panel there. Billion. Just putting them a little bit over the top. So I'll just add a quick comment there. Pause panel implementation. Pause button slash panel implementation. Okay, what just happened there? All right. Ooh, add this initialization inside start. So let's see. Time.timescale. As in over here. Add this. You guys want it to be side by side, so you know what I'm doing. Okay. Add escape key handling inside update. Okay, this would be for Windows, which I don't want. So I think I should specify. Uh, Step 4, add escape key handling. This project is intended to be for Android primarily. Should I go ahead? Not sure. Not sure. You know what? Why not? Why not? Why do I not do that? You know, even though it is for Android. Come. Sometimes I gotta want to break things, but um, if level colas is complete, I'll skip this because this project is primarily for Android and mobile platforms. Just mobile platform, Android to be specific. So I don't want to handle escape key or add Windows logic moving forward. So skipping step 4. Let me know if there are any additional steps you added for Windows that I should skip. And I'll move on with the rest of the instructions. So update method. What did I do last? Start method, I added this, right? So that should be fine. Set active false, set active true. So you can't see our pause panel, but you can see our pause button when the start function is run. Okay, update method. Let's see. Update. We don't have an update method. Okay, cool. level go. That is level complete. So I guess we could add that up to this portion, but then not the escape key handling. Toggle pause, yeah, don't need. But maybe this section of the step 4 will be needed. Let's see if it told me that. Okay, so this using input system is also not needed since we're not working on Windows here. Cool. Everything else is platform neutral or mobile specific. Keep one application on, application pause. Okay. Continue. Okay, so yeah, this section is exactly what I was talking about. So I will copy up to this point. Retain the update. Containing only the level goal that is level complete. Check to hide the pause button after winning. Okay, so I think I like that idea. So let's add the update function here. Okay, what else do we need? As the pause methods, toggle pause, pause game. Okay, let's just copy. There's just too many buttons when you highlight things. I don't like that at all. Okay, let's add all those methods here at the end. Yo, where did my curly bracket go? Can't with this thing. Toggle pause. Okay, going from here, here, and just a tab there. So what do we have? We have toggle pause. Okay. If game is over or level is complete, we do nothing. Otherwise, if game is paused, we resume game. Or if game is resumed, we pause game. And then pause game method here. If the game is paused or if the game is over or if the level goal is selected, we return. Otherwise, is paused is set to true. We can see the pause panel and we can no longer see the pause button. Time is stopped. Audio is paused. Resume game. Game is not paused. Don't do anything. Otherwise, we disable is paused. Reset our time back to 1 and we resume our audio there. Pause panel is again hidden and pause button is visible again. All right, so let's see what we have. Finally, okay, so update your show game over screen. Show game over screen. Show game over screen. So currently all it does is if game over panel is, so just basically just shows the game over panel. Okay, so we are just going to set game over to true. Is paused to false. Remove our pause panel, remove our pause button, and finally set the game over panel to set to true. And we're looks like we're moving our defensive programming if statement there. So, you know, ChatGPT thinks we should move forward without defensive programming. I'll go ahead and do that. Add this helper. Should I ask it why I got rid of the is game over panel check? For step 6, why did you get rid of defensive programming as Gemini suggested? Come on, that is. And just curious. Okay, let's see if it has a good reason for it. And I'll redo the change there. And then finally add this helper method, restore game time. Restore game time. Restore game time. Didn't even call it. The beginning of both your existing restart level and load main menu methods. What is happening in the restore game time? It's paused, is set to false. Okay, explain the restore game time. I'm not 100% sure they explain the restore game time method. Time is set to 1. I mean, I understand what's happening here, but why do we need this again? Because, anyway, let's see. Um, oh, okay. Defensive null checks. Okay, I'm just, if you shouldn't have removed it, why did you? Although required inspector references ideally should also be validated, so a missing assignment produces a clear error. Instead of silently doing nothing. Okay, so I'll add our defensive programming in there. Game over panel is not equal null. Okay. Yeah, like that. And what about pause panel? Should I wrap this in a, that the required inspector references ideally should also be validated, so a missing assignment produces a clear. Instead of silently doing nothing. Okay, okay. Okay, what is it saying about the restore game method or restore game time? Helper method ensures the next scene doesn't remain frozen after leaving a paused or game over screen. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Cool. Let me add that in at the end, and I'll get back to the questions I have about defensive programming. Restart level. That is so dumb. I don't know if ChatGPT is better than Gemini. It's telling me to do things that has me override, like in the next response. um, okay, okay. The time.timescale would still be at 0, but that's exactly what you fixed here. So now you want me to change these to that function. I mean, okay, cool. All right, whatever. Anyway, what do you mean by this section? Okay, on your previous response, you mentioned What do you need? Okay, hide checks. Null check prevents the game from crashing, but it can hide an inspector mistake if you forget to assign game over panel. This code simply does nothing and gives no clue as to why the screen failed to appear. So validation reports that the configuration stay clearly, usually during awake. Okay, I don't want to do all that. Okay. Okay, I could actually add these because they're all in the awake function. Can still retain the defensive null checks while using the objects together. They provide two protections. Validation tells you exactly why it was configured incorrectly, and null checks prevent the mistake from causing a null reference exception. So I'll add these into our await function, which looks like we don't have. So I'll just copy this awake method. Make sure all our components are properly assigned, right? So cool. Save it there. The other thing I wanted to ask was also related to defensive programming. So let's call this show game over screen function. Should I wrap these two lines in our if statements? Should I also wrap these two lines within the null check within a null check? If statement watch or if statement for the pause panel. Hey, be consistent. Why not add them under one if statement check? Should I? Why not add them under just a single if statement? And if it says I should have done that this way, I'm gonna be mad. Oh, okay. So never mind. I thought they were both referencing the same thing, but I overlooked it. So anyway, let me. This time it was right, so I'm not mad. Okay. Alrighty. I wish it just auto indented code that I paste. Too many lines. I don't like these separate lines for curly braces, but that's how we have been doing things, so I don't want to change it, but there's too many lines in my opinion. Look, doesn't look good to me. I know people have their own preferences, but anyway, save this. Go back to Unity. And it's probably compiling. Yeah. Alrighty, all compiled and see what are the next steps. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, I could do this. Why would I want to do that? I don't want to do that. Right. Added the helper. After Unity compiles, assign your newly created pause panel and pause button to these fields in UIManager inspector, then configure their on-click events. Okay. Pause panel. our UI manager, pause panel, there, drag and drop, pause button, drag and drop. And how do we do the on click again? I forgot. I feel like we've done this a few times with Gemini, but would it be on the button? On click? Yep. Okay. UI manager. So that would be not this one. So you remember the reason it has it is because we duplicated the main menu button, which is why we have the load main menu function being called. But it should be UI manager pause game. That is the new method we added. And then pause panel, resume button should have our UI manager resume game function. Finally, the main menu. It has the load main menu, so we good. Pause button. Again, let's do pause game. Okay, looks good. Pause panel, nothing to do there. Squared text, level text, double jump icon. Pause button. Game over panel. We didn't touch, I don't think. Pause text. Resume button. Resume game method. On click and menu button. Load main menu. So should be all set there. And let's go to our scene. This is the main camera. So yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so we got our pause button there. Why is our double jump icon visible, by the way? We gotta fix that. So yeah, should have just gone to our UIManager prefab. Where is it? This one. Double jump icon should be invisible. So just unchecked it here. And then going back to our scenes, our level one, should I just go to main menu, start from there? Cool. Just move on to level two. The reason is we can go and check the double jump icon rendering in there. That looks good. Ooh, we got stuck, and this is exactly why we need the pause menu. This is another bug we have. We get stuck under this tile and cannot get out. So pause. Okay, music stops. Resume. Music resumes. Music stops. Music is back when you click the pause. Restart level. We need a restart level here, not just main menu. So that is something we need to implement. And the next one should be very simple to do. Just add another button. And then main menu button. Okay, works perfect. Works well, works well. Looks good to me. One last thing I want to do is one of our prefabs, which is our coin prefab of this guy. These gold coins should have been our gold coin prefab and not these local gold coins, right? So these are gold coins, I believe, from one of our levels. And the reason is because these icons are not blue. So let's fix that right here and just delete all these. So before I delete it, let me just Make sure that they look the same in terms of positioning. You know what I'll do is I'll do 0.5. Nah, doesn't look good. 1. Fine, I'll just match everything else. So delete that one. And let's duplicate it 5 times, 4 times. 5. Okay. We can name them later. Gold coin. So this one should be -1, 0.5, and 0. -1, 0.5, and 0. Cool. Delete this guy. So this should probably be just +1, 0.5, and 0. Delete that one. What is this? 1, 0.5, and 0. So 1, 0.5, and 0. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I feel like I deleted the wrong guy. Alright, so that guy's back. We got this one. We got this one. We got this one. Okay, those look good. And then this one should be that guy, right? So that, this guy. So this is what? -2. -200. So -2, 0, and 0. And now I can delete it. 5. So we already have a substitute for this. Delete that one. This is the last thing. It should probably be just +2, 0, and 0. And matches +2, 0, 0. So delete that. And we should be all set here with this prefab. See if it updated in our scenes. 5 coins horizontal. 5 coins horizontal. 5 coins horizontal curved. Curved. Okay, yeah, seems like these are now prefab gold coins instead of the. And the last thing we should do is pick the names because we don't want 1, 6, 7, and 8. That makes no sense. So I'll just do gold coin, rename. I wanted to name this one, but okay, anyway. This should just be 2. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? 3 and 4. All right, should be all set now. Let's just double check here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. And that should be it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. I'll fix the no retry in our pause menu on the next one and go from there. All right. Take care.